Imagine artificial intelligence, not just looking up legal cases, but actually writing persuasive arguments. Arguments that go head to head with ones written by, top law
That
students.
sounds futuristic, doesn't it?
It really does. Could AI actually stand in for an international lawyer? Okay, let's unpack this because it sounds like something straight out of science fiction AI writing legal briefs. Today, we're diving deep into a really groundbreaking experiment from the world of international law. Researchers took generative AI models, specifically GPT-4o and Gemini 2.0, and put them through the ringer, basically.
Right, in the Jessup International Law Moot Court Competition. It's a huge deal in that field.
Exactly. So our sources for this deep dive are excerpts from a paper called GenAI as an International Lawyer, a case study with the Jessup International Law Moot Court by Damien Charlatan and Nicola Riddy. And our mission really is to unpack this unique benchmark study. We want to see where AI shines, where it still falls short in complex legal arguments, and what it all means for the future of law and, well, legal education too. So to really get what this experiment means, you need to understand the stage it was set on, the Philip C. Jessup International Law Moot Court Competition.
Yeah, it's not just any competition.
No, it's the world's largest moot court competition. Think of it like a simulated courtroom trial, but for law students.
No.
It's kind of the grand slam of international moots.
Absolutely. It brings together students from, what, over 700 universities?
Yeah, 700 universities, more than 100 countries. It's massive.
Right.
And at the heart of it is the compromise.
Which is the hypothetical case, right?
Exactly. It's crafted by top scholars, presents really complex public international law issues. But here's the kicker. There's no single correct solution.
Which forces the students to argue both sides really effectively, applicant and respondent.
Precisely. For the 2025 one they looked at, there were four specific issues. Things like jurisdiction over acts before a treaty kicked in, authority over officials for crimes abroad, the legality of maritime baselines frozen cause of climate change, and seizing state property overseas.
Pretty meaty international law topics.
It definitely. Now, the competition has two phases, written and oral, but that written memorial, it's absolutely crucial. Teams have to write two of them, applicant and respondent, under a super strict 9,500 word limit.
And drafting those takes months, doesn't it? It's notoriously rigorous.
Oh, months. Rigorous and time-consuming. And what's also key is Jessup's focus on balance. The judges are looking at your ability to prepare and present good legal arguments, not just deciding who has the winning argument.
And that's what makes it such a good test bed, right?
Yeah.
The scoring. What's fascinating here is how the Jessup's detailed scoring system gives you this unique, quantifiable way to assess memorial quality.
Across multiple dimensions, you mean?
Exactly. Things like knowledge of the law, legal analysis, research depth, clarity, organization, even writing style. It's all broken down. Rule 10, for example, lays out how memorials get evaluated by at least 3 judges on a 100-point scale.
And there are penalties, too.
Oh, yes. Rule 11.1 specifies penalties for stuff like going over the word limit, messing up citations, or plagiarism. Those can directly hit your score. So it's a really structured assessment.
Okay, so how did AI even get to a point where trying this was feasible? I mean, AI in law isn't brand new, is it?
No, not at all. Briefly, you had rule-based expert systems back in the 70s to 90s. They were pretty rigid, though.
Right, the flowcharts?
Kind of. Then in the 2000s, machine learning and NLP, natural language processing, came along. Better for keyword searches, finding relevant documents, but not really generating arguments.
And now?
Now we've got this transformative leap with large language models, LLMs. These are these huge neural networks trained on just massive amounts of text data.
So they can generate text that sounds, well, human.
Yeah.
Coherent and contextually appropriate.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which sounds incredibly powerful, doesn't it? Like they might actually be understanding the law.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Indeed. And their capabilities on the surface are vast. We've seen LLMs drafting contracts, summarizing case law, even simulating courtroom dialogue, like you said.
And they're getting good at tests, right? Like the bar exam.
That's a key benchmark. GPT-4 showed a huge jump. OpenAI's tests put it near the top 10%, while independent analyses may be placed at more in the 60th, 70th range. Still, a massive improvement.
A stark contrast is what the paper called it, compared to GPT 3.5, which was apparently bottom 10%.
Exactly. A huge leap in just one generation.
And here's where it gets really interesting for education. Some studies found GPT-4 actually significantly enhanced performance for law students, especially on simpler multiple-choice questions.
Like an educational leveler.
Yeah, that's the term they used. It seemed to particularly help lower-performing students boost their scores quite a bit.
But this brings us back to that fundamental question. are they truly comprehending?
Or just pattern matching on a massive scale?
That's the debate. The paper argues LLMs arguably lack true comprehension. Their responses are fundamentally based on statistical predictions from patterns in all that data they ingested.
Which leads to hallucinations.
Exactly, that's the big one. Hallucination. Producing answers that look plausible, sound right, but are far from correct.
Like making up cases.
That's the notorious example in law, yes.
Yeah.
The citation of non-existent legal authorities. And in law, that's not just a oopsie. It highlights what the paper calls the asymmetry of risk.
Meaning the cost of being wrong is huge.
Precisely. The cost of a false positive far outweighs that of a false negative. One fake citation can completely destroy your credibility. Huge liability.
Okay, so you have these incredibly capable tools, but they have this fundamental flaw of making stuff up sometimes. How on earth do you test them fairly in something as complex as Jessup?
Right. It's a challenge. But the researchers came up with a brilliant, almost covert strategy.
Tell me more. How did they design this study?
They generated 10 complete memorials using Gemini 2.0 Flash and GPT-4o. And here's the critical part, with minimal human intervention, like almost none.
Okay.
Then these AI-written memorials were anonymously added to the pool of submissions.
So the judges grading them had no idea.
No idea whatsoever. They were evaluated by judges who remained unaware of their origins, a truly blind benchmark.
Wow. Okay, but generating those memorials could have been simple, right? You can't just tell GPT, write a Jessup memorial.
Well, definitely not.
Yeah.
The paper stresses that prompt engineering is crucial. They figured it took 4 or 5 hours just to get the prompting strategy right.
It's about shaping how the model focuses its attention.
Exactly. Shaping the underlying attention patterns within the model. They used a mix of things. A system prompt to set the stage, define the legal persona, the analytical framework, style rules.
Like telling it, you are an international lawyer arguing this case.
Kind of, but much more detailed. And then a chat prompt to direct its attention to specific parts of the argument. They even broke down the big issues into smaller sections for the AI to tackle one by one.
And you mentioned GPT-4 needed a nudge sometimes.
Yeah, apparently they used this trick of asking it to expand some more when it generated text that was a bit too brief initially.
Clever. And they tested different inputs, too.
Right. They varied the information they gave the AI models.
Okay.
One condition was pure AI. It only got the case problem, the compromise, and the basic materials provided to all teams.
Standard stuff.
Then textbooks AI, they added extracts from major international law textbooks, like Shaw's and Brownlee's.
Giving it more foundational knowledge.
And finally, informed AI. This one got the bench memorial, too.
Which is like insider notes from the competition organizers.
Essentially, yes. It often contains analysis and points judges might look for, and they also tweaked technical settings, top and temperature.
Those control the randomness, right? How creative versus predictable the output is.
Exactly. Balancing sticking to common patterns versus trying newer phrasing.
Okay, and the human intervention. You said minimal, but what did that actually mean?
Very minimal. The researchers emphasized they barely touched the generated text and never on substantial points.
Yes.
They basically just skimmed it to make sure it did not manifestly go on a tangent.
So no rewriting arguments or fixing legal errors?
Nope. And crucially, during the actual generation process, they only spotted 3 instances of obvious hallucination that were bad enough to require regenerating that bit of text.
Only 3. What kind of things?
Like Gemini misreading a specific article number or getting a date completely wrong, thinking historical baselines were frozen in 1840 instead of 2015. Minor but clear factual errors they caught up front.
And they formatted it properly?
Yes, they put a lot of effort into that, using VBA macros, converting inline citations to footnotes, fixing punctuation, ensuring smart quotes. The goal was consistency, to make sure formatting wasn't a variable the judges reacted to. It had to look like any other submission.
Okay, the moment of truth. What were the results? Did the AI bomb?
Not at all. That's the headline finding. The AI-generated memorials scored around 78 points out of 100.
78 out of 100. How does that compare?
It's in line with the historical average for Jessup memorials, and also right around the average score for the actual human-written memorials in the 2025 competition.
So, average.
Pretty much average, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, aligns perfectly with how these LLMs are built.
How so?
Well, they're designed to predict the most statistically likely sequence of words based on their training data. So they are inherently biased, toward generating outputs that reflect those statistical norms. They're good at producing typical average-sounding text.
Okay, average overall, but was it consistently average or were the scores all over the place?
That's the next surprising bit. There is significant variance. Get this. One AI memorial received both the lowest score given to any AI memo, a 51, and the highest score, a 98.
From different judges grading the same memo. Wow, 51 and 98?
Exactly. And another one, which the researchers thought was one of their best AI submissions, got both stellar reviews and notes of concern. The standard deviation, a measure of score spread, was slightly higher for the AI memos, 7.38, compared to all memorials, 6.6.
So more inconsistency in how judges perceive the AI work.
It seems so, which leads to a crucial point the researchers make. An average score might not mean consistent mediocrity.
Right, it could be a mix of good and bad.
Exactly. It could be a composite of acceptable performance on surface-level criteria, offset by significant deficiencies in substantive legal accuracy and reasoning. That distinction is key.
Okay, let's break that down then. Where did the AI actually do well? What were its strengths according to the judges?
The highest average scores for the AI were in clarity and organization and style, formatting, grammar, citation.
So the presentation stuff?
Largely, yes. Judges use phrases like excellent hierarchy of argument, well organized with logical flow, and even squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean. That's quite a compliment. And the writing itself.
Also praised. Comments like excellent, well articulated, and clear and easy to follow. They even highlighted a specific opening sentence from one AI memo about two neighboring states as having beautiful phrasing.
And you mentioned penalties earlier. Did the AI memos get penalized?
Nope. 0 penalties for the AI memorials, which is pretty striking when you consider that nearly half of the human teams did receive penalties for things like word counts or formatting.
Wow. Okay, so squeaky clean, well organized, nice phrasing, no penalties. Sounds pretty good.
It does, right. But this raises that important question. If the structure and the writing were so good, where did it fall down? Where are the weaknesses?
Where did it score lowest?
The lowest average scores were for extent and use of research, and this points directly to the pervasive weaknesses.
Okay, what were they?
First, and this is a big one, factual inaccuracies and fabrications.
Uh-oh, like what?
Judges noted things like erroneous facts, grave inaccuracies citing inexistent factual locations, one judge apparently wrote, Tomini, next to a place name. Another cited a made-up organization, the Charter of the Organization of Coffee Developing Polities.
Coffee developing polities? Seriously?
Apparently so. The correct acronym was OCDP, but the AI seemingly invented a full name for it.
Okay, that's bad. What else?
Second big area, research and citation problems. This goes beyond just factual errors. Judges noted a lack of depth, limited sources, sometimes missing citations entirely.
But even worse.
Even worse, citing sources that either do not contain the quotation for which they are cited, or do not support the proposition they were supposed to back up, or were just fully made up.
Like the hallucinated cases we talked about earlier.
Exactly. The paper gives the example of a non-existent Canadian case cited by an AI. Regina v. Provincial Court Judge, Ex parte France, doesn't exist.
So, if the AI is making these fundamental mistakes, getting facts wrong, making up citations, how on earth did it still manage to score around 78 points on average? That feels like a huge disconnect.
It really does. And it tells us something profound, perhaps worrying, about what gets rewarded. That surface polish can be incredibly deceptive.
Was there, like, a specific example of a judge catching this?
Yes, there's a damning judge comment included about one memorial, R276733. The judge basically said, on surface level, is a stellar memorial. However, closer inspection reveals that a number of cited sources do not contain the quotation or relate to an entirely different legal issue altogether.
So the judge saw through the polish.
Yes, and concluded, no points have been awarded for research, knowledge of law, or other areas implicated by the misuse of authorities. So a 0 in those crucial substance categories, despite the good first impression.
And this happens in the real world, too.
Absolutely. The paper mentions the Coles v. Ellison case, where an expert witness used AI-generated hallucinated references, and it completely shattered the expert's credibility. It's a real risk.
Okay, so factual errors, citation problems. What was the third weakness?
The third pervasive weakness was the quality of legal reasoning. Even when the facts and citations were okay, the analysis itself was often criticized.
How so?
Judges used terms like superficial, lack of nuance. Sometimes the arguments were irrelevant or didn't flow logically. A common critique was that it read more like a descriptive research paper than a persuasive legal argument trying to convince a court.
So it could describe the law, but not apply it persuasively.
That seems to be the gist. As the paper puts it, AI can mimic law's idiom, the style, the structure, the jargon, but it doesn't fully grasp its logic.
The strengths are surface level, the failures are substance level.
Exactly. Surface level generalizability versus substance-specific overreach. It's like that student who turns in a beautifully formatted essay with perfect grammar, but if you actually check their footnotes, half the sources are fake or irrelevant. This study shows AI can now do that and apparently do it well enough to score averagely well in a top competition.
That's quite something. Did it matter which AI they used? Was GPT-4 better than Gemini?
Yes, actually. There was a statistically significant difference. GPT-4 memorials averaged higher, around 80.8 points, compared to Gemini at 76.0.
And were the types of mistakes different?
It seems so based on the qualitative comments. Gemini seemed to suffer more from those severe factual hallucinations and citation integrity problems. GPT-4's criticisms were more often about lack of analytical depth or insufficient research integration. Still flawed, but maybe flawed in a different way.
Okay, and what about feeding the AI more info? Did giving it the textbooks or the bench memo help?
This is maybe the most counterintuitive finding.
Go on.
Fascinatingly, there was no statistically significant difference in scores between the pure AI, the textbook AI, and the informed AI. Giving it more specialized information didn't seem to improve the output quality in a measurable way.
Wait, so giving it more context didn't help. That seems backward.
Right. There was even an anecdotal observation that the best Gemini memorial was the one that was provided only with the problem, not even the basic materials.
Seriously?
Yeah, leading the researchers to speculate that maybe expanding the context of the models is a recipe to confuse them sometimes, rather than help them.
Huh. Okay, so the AI makes all these mistakes, factual errors, citation issues, reasoning problems. Did the judges know they were reading AI? Did they suspect it?
That's another shocker. Despite all these flaws, the paper states, only one judge explicitly stated his belief that the memorial he was judging was AI-generated.
Only one. Out of how many?
They surveyed the judges who graded the AI memos. Only 2 out of the 13 respondents said they even suspected AI use.
Wow. So the AI passed the Turing test, essentially, in this specific context, even with the errors.
In terms of judges detecting it,
Right.
largely yes, which might connect to another finding, this averaging out effect.
What do you mean?
Judges noted fewer really bad and really good memorials overall in the 2025 Jessup competition compared to previous years. And the numbers back this up. The standard deviation for all scores in 2025 was substantially lower, 7.4 points, compared to historical Jessup data, where it's usually around 10.5 points.
A flattening of performance, as the paper calls it.
Exactly, which suggests AI might be contributing to this, maybe pulling up the bottom, but also perhaps capping the top, making everything cluster more around the average.
That's a striking observation. Does that suggest that the AI is making everyone average? Or maybe that the judging criteria are inadvertently rewarding the AI's strengths that surface polish, leading to less score variation?
It definitely raises both possibilities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It could be that AI, by consistently producing average-level quality in presentation and structure, might pull up the baseline for everyone. But yeah, on the flip side, it might make it harder for truly exceptional human work, the kind that relies on deep critical thinking, accurate, nuanced, genuinely novel arguments, to really stand out if the surface looks similar.
So let's try to synthesize this. We have this paradox. AI-generated legal arguments, riddled with significant factual errors and citation problems, still managed to get average or even superior scores in a super rigorous competition.
Right.
This really challenges our whole understanding of what we value, or at least what gets rewarded, in legal argument and maybe legal education. Is it the form, the polish, or is it the substance, the accuracy, the reasoning?
It forces us to ask that question for sure, and it leads to some pretty significant implications.
Like for legal education.
Absolutely. It's
Go.
clear AI is going to play a bigger and bigger role. You're already seeing organizations like the Moot, another big international competition, regulating AI use, not banning it.
Yeah.
They recognize it's a tool students need to learn to use, but use responsibly.
And for legal practice, lawyers using this stuff day to day.
The paper points towards the Centaur model being the likely future.
Centaur, human plus AI.
Exactly. Human lawyers leveraging AI for things like drafting and organizational tasks where it excels, but crucially, maintaining human control over substantive legal analysis and factual verification. You need that human oversight.
That seems paramount after hearing about the errors.
The study hammers home the critical importance of human oversight. You just can't take the human out of the loop when the stakes are high, like in law.
So wrapping this up for you listening, navigating this world where AI content is becoming more and more common, what's the core lesson here from this Jessup experiment?
I think it really forces you to think about what expertise even means now in the age of these powerful AI tools.
Yeah.
If AI can mimic the idiom of law, the language, the structure so convincingly, even while failing on the logic, the substance, the accuracy, how do we make sure we don't get fooled?
How do we ensure that in our rush for efficiency, maybe, we don't end up valuing that polished presentation over deep accuracy and critical thinking?
Exactly. It's something to really mull over, isn't it? Yeah. As you encounter more and more AI-generated content, whether it's news articles, reports, maybe even legal documents someday, where does the real substance lie?